with taking moments of pleasure in that life. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell if an otter is working or playing. He is so into life and enjoys living life so much that he has learned to incorporate fun or joy in his daily activities. Someone one time told a boy that I was working with, his dad told him, he said, son, you can experiment in life, you can learn all these different trades if you want to. Find something that you like to do, and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not sure you'll never work a day in your life. That may not quite be true. But it certainly does take the edge off of daily grind, if you will, if you enjoy what you're doing. And so I want us to think about this. Solomon, again, at the end of his life, as he writes the book of Ecclesiastes in chapter 2 and down in verse 22 of that chapter, he says, what has a man from all the toil and striving of heart? You see, sometimes we tend to agonize over life. Daily grind. We wonder if we're ever going to make it, if we're ever going to get ahead. That's the daily toil of life and striving of heart. Solomon says, with which he toils beneath the sun, or all his days are full of sorrow. Oh, what a depressing thought. All of his days are full of sorrow, and his work is vexation. Yes, work can be a vexation. Absolutely, totally agree. Solomon says, even in the night, his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. He says it's worthlessness. He said it'll drain the life out of your bones. Remember that? It's going to drain the life out of your bones. But verse 24, he says, there is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and to drink and to find enjoyment in his toil. Your Bible might say labor, I don't know. This also I saw and was from the hand of God. For apart from him, apart from God, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, Solomon says, but to the sinner, he has given the business of gathering and collecting only to give to the one who pleases God. This also is the vanity and a striving after the wind. He says you're trying to catch the wind. Catching your dreams sometimes, if you're not living a life pleasing to God, is like trying to catch the wind. It slips through your fingers. It is gone. And even, quite frankly, sometimes were we to catch it, it might not be exactly what we wanted. I mentioned earlier there are 13 species of otters in the world today in total, with a size, this is a typo, I'm sorry, a size ranging from 2 feet to about 5 feet. It's a big spread, in from 3 pounds to 75 pounds. So there's a wide range in the size of the otter throughout the world. But God, from the very beginning, knew that we needed to be like the otters. And so, like any good leader, God set a standard for us. You can read that standard in Genesis chapter 2. I'll give you the summary and overview, though. God created the world. God doesn't tire. He doesn't get physically tired, although I believe that God gets mentally tired. God is a spirit. He doesn't have physical strength, but he has power. And I believe that God sometimes becomes mentally fatigued. It says that God created the world in 7 days. I can't even imagine that. 7 days. 6 days, actually. 6 days to work. 6 days to figure out the human body alone. We've been studying the human body for centuries, and we don't understand it. God came up with it. Just like that. We cannot grasp the wisdom of God. But what God did is he did all that in 6 days. And then he said, time for rest. Time for rest. That means God needed some time to relax. Not to stress about his creation. He picked that up on day 8. We go back to work on day 8. Now, from Genesis clear up into the time of Moses, the Sabbath was not necessarily observed as a day of rest. But God said, 6 days shalt thou work. On the 7th shalt thou rest. And that was a statute ordinance from the time Moses recorded it for the children of Israel until the time of Christ. It might still be a good principle. It might still be a good principle, as my wife likes to remind me from time to time, that 6 days we're given to work. And we should rest 1 day. Unwind, decompress, enjoy life. Now, I do need to point out, this was primarily for my own children, but seeing as how human beings are somewhat the same in nature, I do need to point out that God rested only after his work was completed. He didn't try to skip out on the chores. God did not try to scrimp. He had all his stuff done. He says, I'm done. Now I can relax. Okay? He realized that his work would never be 100% complete as he's still active today. But he got accomplished the tasks that he had to do that week. Okay? Very important for us to understand that. Now back to our happy friends.